The gloves are off, and the battle lines are drawn. The U.S. has fired a calculated economic missile at China's booming e-commerce empire, targeting Shein and Temu with sanctions that are as much about politics as they are about trade. This isn't just about tariffs or fair competition. This is economic warfare disguised as policy. Washington, drunk on power and desperate to curb China's dominance, is playing a high-stakes game that could send shockwaves through global commerce. But let's not pretend China is the innocent victim here. For years, Beijing has exploited every loophole, flooding the U.S. with cheap, unregulated goods while turning a blind eye to the questionable labor practices fueling its own economic machine. Now, both superpowers are locked in a ruthless fight where the casualties won't be the policymakers, but the small businesses, workers, and consumers caught in the crossfire. The hypocrisy is staggering on both sides. The U.S. government, under the guise of protecting domestic industries, has allowed corporate giants like Amazon and Walmart to squeeze American businesses dry while punishing Chinese retailers for playing the same game just better. Meanwhile, China, which parades itself as a champion of globalization, has spent decades manipulating trade rules, blocking foreign competition, and propping up state-backed enterprises to maintain its grip on global markets. Reality: both nations are guilty of weaponizing commerce for political gain, and now American consumers, who have long enjoyed dirt-cheap fashion and household goods shipped straight from China, will be the ones paying the price. Higher tariffs, longer shipping times, fewer choices, all in the name of a trade war that has no real winners. This is the next chapter in a long and ugly saga where economic policies are dictated not by fairness, but by political vendettas, corporate lobbying, and power-hungry leaders eager to flex their influence. The fate of global trade hangs in the balance, and while Washington celebrates its crackdown on Chinese imports, Beijing is surely plotting its next move. Will China retaliate with counter-sanctions? Will the U.S. push even further in its efforts to decouple from its biggest supplier? And most importantly, who really stands to lose the most? Stay with us till the end, because this fight is only getting started. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube. The sudden jolt to Chinese retailers, with Shein and Temu at the forefront, is sending ripples through the global trade landscape, amplifying the already tense economic friction between the U.S. and China. The sanctions imposed, layered atop the aggressive tariff hikes championed by President Donald Trump, strike at the heart of an industry that has for years operated in a gray zone of trade loopholes, leveraging small package shipments to flood the U.S. market with affordable fashion and household goods. The financial squeeze is immediate and relentless, as logistics agents scramble to enforce the additional 30% levy, leaving retailers burdened with uncertainty, financial strain, and the stark reality that their golden days of bypassing hefty import duties are officially over. The aftermath of the policy shift is chaotic, setting off a chain reaction among thousands of Chinese vendors who built their businesses around this trade model. The de facto revocation of the de minimis rule, a long-standing loophole that allowed shipments under $800 to enter the U.S. duty-free, dismantles a key advantage that companies like Shein and Temu wielded against traditional American retailers. The impact is not just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's a fundamental shift in how global e-commerce operates. The vendors, who had once maneuvered seamlessly through the cracks of international trade policy, now find themselves thrust into a high-stakes battle against a Washington establishment determined to clamp down on Chinese economic influence. The desperation in Guangzhou's manufacturing hubs is palpable. Wang Lun, a sales manager who has spent years building a robust online business selling sweaters and jackets through Temu, TikTok, and Amazon, now faces an existential crisis. The abrupt changes, delivered through terse memos from logistics providers, upended his business overnight. His clients, accustomed to swift and cheap deliveries, are now demanding answers that Wang doesn't have. The fees are non-negotiable. The choice is stark: absorb the costs and bleed money, or pass it on to consumers and risk losing them altogether. There is no easy way out. The U.S. Postal Service's fluctuating stance on international shipments from China adds another layer of uncertainty. Initially, it signaled an outright suspension of some shipments, only to backtrack within hours, citing a collaboration with Customs and Border Protection to ensure the least disruption to package delivery. The reversal, however, offers little reassurance to Chinese retailers, who now view every move from Washington as a calculated attempt to systematically dismantle their access to the U.S. market. Just a quick reminder to hit the like button below. YouTube has been restricting my videos a lot recently because of bots, so your like does help out this video massively in terms of the algorithm in YouTube. The stakes for China's economy are colossal. The crackdown threatens a trade channel that funneled approximately $46 billion worth of goods into the U.S. last year alone. The implications stretch far beyond individual retailers. Factories already grappling with razor-thin profit margins may be forced to shut down, exacerbating unemployment and adding pressure to an economy already under strain from weak domestic demand. A report from Nomura Holdings, Inc. paints a grim picture. The new tariffs could shrink China's export growth by 1.3 percentage points, potentially shaving 0.2 percentage points off its gross domestic product expansion. For an economy still clawing its way out of post-pandemic stagnation, the impact is nothing short of seismic. In the Chinese e-commerce ecosystem, where speed and cost efficiency reign supreme, the sudden tariff imposition disrupts the very foundation upon which these businesses were built. The logistics model, optimized for rapid, small parcel deliveries, now faces an existential challenge. Industry insiders, speaking on condition of anonymity, paint a dire scenario in which the inability to swiftly adapt will force many players out of business. Factories, which for years churned out an endless stream of low-cost goods designed to cater to American shoppers, now confront the possibility of large-scale closures. The voices of dissent from Chinese business owners are growing louder, calling for Beijing to hit back with countermeasures. Andy Guo, a seasoned e-commerce entrepreneur and founder of Waimao Jia, a media platform dedicated to cross-border trade, warns that unless Beijing responds decisively, the damage to China's online retail industry will be irreversible. He argues that this move by the U.S. is not just about tariffs. It's a direct assault on China's ability to leverage its e-commerce dominance as a strategic economic tool. For Washington, the crackdown is framed as a necessary corrective action against an industry that has long exploited regulatory loopholes at the expense of American businesses. Critics argue that the flood of low-cost Chinese imports undercuts domestic retailers, fuels a trade imbalance, and introduces security risks due to the difficulty in tracking and inspecting high-volume, small parcel shipments. The accusations are not new, but the ferocity of the enforcement is unprecedented. The concerns extend beyond economic competition. Lawmakers in Washington have raised alarms over the potential for illicit or unsafe products entering the U.S. through these unchecked shipments. The fear of counterfeit goods, unauthorized electronics, and even possible national security risks adds weight to the argument that the loophole had to be closed. While the broader debate about fair trade rages on, for Chinese businesses, the immediate reality is a struggle for survival. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video, and comment. Shein and Temu, two of the most recognizable names in the space, face a crossroads. Having relied on the de minimis provision to carve out a massive share of the U.S. fast fashion market, they must now pivot or perish. Temu, owned by PDD Holdings, Inc., has seen explosive growth in the U.S. market, leveraging aggressive pricing strategies and an algorithm-driven shopping experience that keeps consumers engaged in spending. Shein, already under scrutiny for labor practices and environmental concerns, now faces an uphill battle against mounting regulatory hurdles. The transition will not be smooth. The logistical bottlenecks created by these new tariffs are bound to cause shipping delays, potentially frustrating American customers who have grown accustomed to cheap, fast fashion delivered to their doorsteps in record time. The cost, once absorbed by the retailers themselves, will inevitably trickle down to consumers, challenging the very business model that made Shein and Temu so successful. The ripple effects of these sanctions stretch far beyond the e-commerce giants. Smaller vendors, who have long relied on the accessibility of cross-border trade, now find themselves squeezed by higher operational costs and lower margins. In cities like Shenzhen and Guangzhou, where entire industrial clusters depend on US-bound shipments, the anxiety is tangible. For the Biden administration, this move aligns with its broader strategy of reducing dependence on Chinese imports and reshoring manufacturing jobs to the US. The underlying message is clear. The days of Chinese retailers enjoying an unchallenged run in the US market are over. The pressure campaign, designed to fortify American industry, comes amid a larger geopolitical chess match between the world's two largest economies. The question now is how Beijing will respond. The Chinese government has so far refrained from issuing an immediate retaliatory measure, but the stakes are too high for it to remain silent. If Beijing decides to strike back with counter tariffs or restrictions on US goods entering China, the trade war could escalate to new heights, dragging other sectors into the fray. For retailers like Wang Lun, the concerns are more immediate. The sudden shift in policy has thrown his carefully built business model into disarray. The rules of engagement have changed overnight, and the path forward is uncertain. His reliance on cheap, efficient shipping solutions has now turned into a liability. The fear among his peers is that even if they comply with the new rules, further restrictions could be on the horizon, making long-term planning nearly impossible. The broader implications of these sanctions are still unfolding, but one thing is clear: this is not just about tariffs. It is a calculated move to reshape the balance of power in global trade. The US, emboldened by a political climate that increasingly views China as an economic adversary, is tightening the screws. And for Chinese retailers, the reality is sinking in. The era of unchecked expansion in the US market is coming to an end. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome your thoughts and questions on this complex and vital subject. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence. Your subscriptions and likes motivate us to generate more content, so please keep supporting us. Check out this video showing on your screen right now, and I will see you on the other side.